So it looks like Star Wars fans are finally getting what we want out of Star Wars, and Kathleen Kennedy and her disciples are not happy about it. So like I said, the future of Star Wars is finally looking bright. The future of Star Wars is finally looking upwards. It looks like they're finally starting to focus on things like Luke Skywalker. We got that quote out of StarWars.com the other day talking about how big of a responsibility it is to handle the character of Luke Skywalker. Coming from Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they were talking about how big of a responsibility, how much weight the character holds when it came to The Mandalorian. And we just didn't hear that type of stuff out of people like Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams whenever they made the sequel trilogy. But the future of Star Wars is looking very bright even outside of the Mandalorian universe, just looking bright overall. And for people that didn't like the sequel trilogy like me and like you, I'm not the biggest sequel trilogy hater. I can enjoy it for what it is, but I know that a lot of people out there really hate the sequel trilogy, and the future is looking very bright for people like me and you, and the people who like Kathleen Kennedy herself, all of her disciples and all of her worshipers on Twitter, all of these people who love the sequel trilogy to a toxic amount to where they can't stand when anyone criticizes the sequels or when anyone likes anything except for the sequel trilogy. All of these people are not happy right now. A lot of these people are lashing out at these new projects that we're getting because they know that we're finally getting what we want. The Star Wars fans are finally getting what we deserve. Let's check out some of the tweets that I'm talking about. This stuff is pretty crazy, man. And I'm not trying to pick on Palpamemes here. I know him. I've talked to him before a couple of times. He's a nice guy, and I'm not trying to pick on him at all here. I'm more just talking about all of his likes, all of his retweets on this tweet, because it did kind of go viral a bit. And I like to see all of the replies on the tweet as well. Once again, not picking on Palpamemes, but I do want to talk about the stuff that he said about the Kenobi show, because I think that for people like me and probably people like you that are watching this video, the Kenobi show is probably our most anticipated Star Wars project coming up, because it's a prequel trilogy era show, a live action prequel trilogy era show, or, you know, kind of with those characters, involving the characters from the prequel trilogy, like Obi-Wan, like Anakin, maybe like Ahsoka, and they talk about that a little bit later in this thread. But we didn't really get much prequel trilogy stuff ever since the Disney purchase. It seemed like they immediately tried to distance themselves from the prequel trilogy. The only mention that we got of the prequel trilogy in the sequel trilogy was in The Last Jedi. Luke mentioned it one time when explaining to Rey how the fall of the Jedi in the prequel trilogy era happened. He just explained to her how Sidious took over and overthrew the Jedi and all that stuff. One mention. We didn't see any Anakin. We didn't see anything, any characters from the prequel trilogy. No cameos, nothing like that. No Force Ghosts. I guess you could say Yoda. I guess you could say Yoda is one. But the Kenobi show is finally giving me what I want. I want to see more of these prequel trilogy era characters, and that's exactly what the Kenobi show is giving us. But Palpamemes tweeted something that, like I said, kind of went viral, got a lot of responses from some bigger YouTubers that I'll go over, but he says, I'm worried about the Kenobi show is going to be overtaken by fan service. There, I said it. And a lot of people have been saying this. A lot of people have been saying that the show is just going to be complete fan service, and I don't disagree. I think that, you know, any Star Wars content that's made is initially fan service, but I think there's going to be some deeper plot in that show. I think it's going to further the overall story of Star Wars. I think it's going to further the overall character of Obi-Wan. We're going to feel way more empathy, way more sympathy for Obi-Wan once that show is over. Same goes for Vader. I think that we're going to see some emotions out of Vader inside of his suit that we've never seen out of Vader in the suit. I think Hayden's going to do a great job at that, like he always has, at portraying emotions with his face. I think that it's going to further the characters greatly. But he also goes on to say, there are already rumored cameo characters, a young Ahsoka, slight chance, Barriss or whatever, an Inquisitor. I literally want this to be about Obi-Wan dealing with PTSD and depression from losing his brother in the worst way possible. Not a cool, fun action show. I don't think that it's going to be a cool, fun action show at all, and I definitely think that we're going to see Obi-Wan dealing with some PTSD. But if we have a 6-episode series simply about Obi-Wan dealing with PTSD, that's going to be a pretty boring show. I'm not going to lie to you. I wouldn't like that at all. I think that's a waste of a very, very cool, a very highly anticipated idea when it comes to the Kenobi show. If we just have him laying down on a bed of sand and he's just shaking, he just has PTSD attacks, that's going to be a very boring show. That's going to be a big wasted opportunity. he has to go off world. He has to go, we're getting those rumors now about Leia, young Leia being cast, and it's kind of confirmed at this point with the amount of people that are reporting it, with the, pedigree of the people that are reporting it as well. It's pretty much confirmed that we're going to see a young Leia in this show. I'm sure he's going to go off world to go find Leia. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of problem where maybe Vader finds out where young Leia is and he has to go and save her, and that's where they confront each other. Or maybe it's going to be a dream sequence. But we have to see them fight. Especially after they hype it up that much, after they say it's going to be the rematch of the century, we have to see them fight in some sort of way. They could get around it with a dream sequence, even though it kind of pisses me off when they do the dream sequence stuff now. I feel like it's a cop-out. But Palpatine also says, I want to see Kenobi meet up with Vader and refuse to fight him, like I wish we got in Revenge of the Sith, and Obi-Wan can't face the fact of what Anakin has become, similar to Luke in The Last Jedi when he faces Ben. He already fought Anakin though, and if he refuses to fight him, that's kind of exactly what happened in A New Hope, and he died. If he faces Vader and refuses to fight Vader, Vader is going to kill him. Straight up, he's going to kill him, and maybe Obi-Wan just runs away, because Obi-Wan, the show is called Kenobi. Kenobi has to win. Obi-Wan has to win. It's his show, and he's not going to kill Vader. Vader's not going to kill him, because we know what happens after this. Maybe Obi-Wan just escapes with Leia. Maybe Leia is on some planet. He escapes with Leia after Vader finds out where Leia is. And then he didn't even know that he had a sister. So that can't be the case. So Vader doesn't even know that Leia exists. So maybe Obi-Wan just escapes and that's his victory. But he's not going to kill Vader. Vader's not going to kill him, but they have to fight. They have to, or the show is going to be wasted, in my opinion. A lot of the hype built up around the show going to be wasted, in my opinion. But all of these replies are very, very interesting to me. And some of the replies are from, like I said, some bigger YouTubers that I really want to check out. So let's take a look at some of these replies. And it's just showing, and I'm not, like I said, not picking on Palpa memes here, but these fans are just not happy that the prequel trilogy fans, that people, involved in the fandom menace. I'm not going to say all of these people that want this show to come out are fandom menace people, but they're just not happy that the fandom menace is getting what they want, that the prequel trilogy fans, the people that don't like the sequel trilogy, are getting what they want. And that goes as far as Kathleen Kennedy, and I'll show you something in 1 second that proves that. That goes as far as Kathleen Kennedy, the story group, the people involved in the High Republic. All of those people are just not happy that this is what they have to do to make Star Wars fans happy. They wanted to do it their way. They wanted to do Disney Star Wars the Disney Star Wars way, and that just didn't work out. It just didn't work out for them, so they have to do it this way now. They have to please the fans that like the prequel trilogy. Let's check out some of these replies. I have no problem with fan service. My fear is Disney's agenda. Obi-Wan beaten by strong women for no reason at all. Little kids outsmart him. Someone's sexual orientation that we don't care or need to know, etc. Exactly my thoughts. Exactly my thoughts. If they have Obi-Wan lose to some strong woman for no reason at all, with no background, that's going to be a big problem for me. Let's move on. I'm mostly excited, but at first when I hear something or someone made a cameo in another show, but then I think, why? The galaxy is a big place. There have to be more people and places. That's Star Wars, man. Come on. That's Star Wars. We always wonder, this galaxy is so big, how come the same people always show up? We always wonder where people like Ahsoka are during the sequel trilogy, during the original trilogy. Where are they at? We always wonder those thoughts, but that's just Star Wars. That's just something that you have to suspend disbelief for. And Palpatine's replies to that and says, yeah, that's my problem with Mando season 2. Like, the galaxy is enormous. It's kind of wild that Din happens to run into the greatest warriors of his generation within a few weeks. That said, Luke in season 2 is perfect. I can kind of understand where he's coming from. The fact that he runs into Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, and then, he runs into Luke Skywalker as well. But like I said, that is Star Wars. You have to suspend disbelief. Star Wars, a lot of it is fan service. And if you're, Palpa memes, all these people that are responding to Palpa memes are big sequel trilogy fans. He has built a fan base around big sequel trilogy fans. And I'm not a sequel trilogy hater, like I've said, but there is so much fan service in there. And that's the reason why I don't hate it, honestly. Like, the fact that Luke lifts his X-Wing with Yoda's theme playing in the background in The Rise of Skywalker, that moment is so great to me, but I just can't like that movie as a whole. It's just a bad movie in my opinion as a whole. But those little fan service moments are so great in my opinion. So the fact that these sequel trilogy fans are complaining about possible fan service in the Kenobi series is just kind of laughable to me. Well, let's check out some of these replies from these bigger YouTubers. I know Star Wars Meg responded to this for sure. And she says, I see where you're coming from, but I'm going to have to disagree and say that all of the upcoming shows I want as much as prequel fan service in Kenobi. We've been waiting a long time for this. Exactly. We deserve some fan service at this point. We've been waiting for prequel content for so long and we just not gotten any. We've been waiting. We've been wanting Hayden Christensen as Anakin to show up in the sequel trilogy in The Rise of Skywalker. Since The Force Awakens, we've been wanting that, and we haven't gotten any prequel content. Now that Kathleen Kennedy and all the other Disney higher ups are realizing that the prequel fans are what's going to make you money. You make this Ahsoka series, you make The Mandalorian and have some prequel trilogy characters in there, some prequel trilogy era characters in there like Ahsoka. You bring in these prequel trilogy characters and the original trilogy characters, and you make shows on them. You make The Bad Batch, you make Clone Wars Season 7. All of this stuff is her trying to put out the fire of the sequel trilogy, and she knows that she doesn't like it, and these people like Palpamemes, all of his fans, they don't like it either because they want to go the Disney Star Wars route. They want to go the sequel trilogy route, but that's not what's going to make them money. That's not what's going to make Disney Star Wars money. Stop the presses. This just in. Star Wars fan concerned that an upcoming Star Wars project will have too much fan service. Is there any substance to these anxious concerns? Only time will tell. I 100% agree. There is going to be fan service in there, but that is Star Wars. Yeah, I agree. I don't understand why studios let fans take so much control over shows and movies. Well, Chris, that is because the fans are what makes the studios money. If you don't please the fans, then you're not going to make money. And no matter what it is, this is Star Wars. Fans will find something to be upset about. That's not just Star Wars, my man. That's every single IP that's ever existed. Star Wars is just a very big one, and people are very passionate about Star Wars. So of course, people are going to be upset whenever certain characters that they love, that they've loved since they were little kids, aren't treated in the proper way, aren't treated with respect. Of course, people are going to be mad. And yes, people will be upset no matter what. No matter what side of the fandom you try to please, the other side will always be upset. That's because people are very passionate about Star Wars, and it's a very big IP. As excited as I am for Kenobi, I agree. I want it to be a personal, smaller scale story. Bringing in a bunch of known characters or focusing too much on action just wouldn't feel right, in my opinion. I'm pretty optimistic about the show, but cautiously optimistic. I just don't understand all this cautious optimism. I mean, the show, we already know what happens before and after the show. The show is just really filling in gaps. I don't know how they can make these characters much worse. Yes, it is Disney. Yes, it is Disney Star Wars, and they've done it in the past. But I just don't understand how filling in the gaps between episode 3 and episode 6 could really do that much negative for the fans, or for the story, for the overall Star Wars story. It doesn't make much sense. I said episode 3 to episode 6. I meant episode 3 to episode 4. Obviously, between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, I don't know how you could really make it that much worse. But we also have this Luke Skywalker damaged High Republic's launch. This is pretty much just about the High Republic authors blaming the High Republic's launch on the Luke Skywalker reveal in The Mandalorian, once again proving that these Kathleen Kennedy people, these Lucasfilm story group people, Kathleen Kennedy herself included, they just don't like all of these cameos, all of these prequel trilogy era people, all these original trilogy era people coming back to steal the thunder. They want Disney Star Wars to do Disney Star Wars the Disney Star Wars way and have no affiliation to the old Star Wars that people, the people that actually love Star Wars actually care about, the people that's actually going to make you money care about. They want to do it their way. But let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. What do you think about Kathleen Kennedy, the Lucasfilm story group, and all of the Star Wars fans that love the sequel trilogy, that worship Kathleen Kennedy to death? They don't like the fact that the Kenobi series is happening. They don't like the fact that the Ahsoka series is happening. They don't like all of this prequel era, all this prequel trilogy era stuff happening. What do you think about them not liking that stuff? Let me know what you think in the comments. But if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter or join the Discord, but those links will be in the description as well. Thank you for watching the video. Hope to see you in the next one.